the Amplified version of the Bible, the book of Judges, the 16th chapter, and we're going to read several verses. Then Samson went to Gaza and saw a harlot there and went into her. The Gazites were told, Samson has come here, so they surrounded the place and lay in wait for him all night at the gate of the city. They were quiet all night, saying, in the morning, when it is light, we will kill him. But Samson lay until midnight, and then he arose and took hold of the doors of the city's gates and the two posts, and pulling them up, bar and all, he put them on his shoulders and carried them to the top of the hill that is before Hebron. After this, he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. Say Delilah. And the Lord of the Philistines came to her, said to her, entice him and see in what his great strength lies, and by what means we may overpower him, that we may bind him to subdue him, and we will each give you 1,100 pieces of silver. And Delilah said to Samson, tell me, I pray you, wherein your great strength lies, and with what you might be bound to subdue you. And Samson said to her, if they bind me with 7 fresh strong gut strings, still moist, then shall I be weak and be like any other man. Then the Philistine lords brought to her 7 fresh strong bowstrings, still moist, and she bound him with them. Now she had men lying in wait in her inner room. And she said to him, the Philistines are upon you, Samson. And he broke the bowstrings as a string of tow breaks when it touches the fire. So the secret of his strength was not known. And Delilah said to Samson, behold, you have mocked me and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray you, how might you be bound? And he said to her, if they bind me fast with new ropes that they have not been used, then I shall become weak and be like any other man. So Delilah took new ropes and bound him with them and said to him, the Philistines are upon you, Samson. And the men lying in wait were in the inner room. Say the inner room. But he snapped the ropes off his arms like sewing thread. And Delilah said to Samson, until now you have mocked me and told me lies. Tell me with what you might be bound. And he said to her, well, if you weave the 7 braids of the hair of my head with web. And she did so and fastened it with the pin. She put it up in a bun. And she said to him, the Philistines are upon you, Samson. And he awoke out of his sleep and went away with the pin of the weaver's beam and the web. 15th verse. And she said to him, how can you say I love you? How can you tell me that you love me when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me these 3 times and have not told me in what your great strength lies. And when she pressed him day after day after day, come on, baby, tell me. Come on, boo, tell me what it is. With her words, and she urged him, he was vexed to death. Then he told her all his mind and said to her, a razor has never come upon my head from birth. It's never come upon my head. I am a Nazarite to God from birth. If I am shaved, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his mind, she went and called for the Philistines' lords, saying, come up this once, for he has told me. He done told me his secret. And she made Samson go to sleep. She made him go to sleep upon her knees in her lap. And she called the man and caused him to shave off the 7 braids of his head. Then she began to torment him, and his strength went from him. She said, the Philistines are upon you, Samson. And he jumped up out of his sleep and said, I will go out as I have time after time and shake myself free. For Samson did not know that the Lord had departed him. Say he left him. The last verse I want to read is, but the Philistines laid hold of him, bored out his eyes and brought him down to Gaza and bound him with 2 bronze fetters, and he ground at the mill in the prison. The word of the Lord is already blessed, and the people of God are blessed by the word. If you will repeat my subject after me, just for a few moments, I want to talk to you from the subject, whose lap are you laying in? Will you turn to someone near you and say, neighbor? Neighbor. Y'all got to say it loud. Neighbor. Neighbor. I just want to know, whose lap are you laying in? Say it again to somebody else. Neighbor, whose lap are you laying in? Now, when Samson fell for Delilah, a woman from the valley, she was a woman from the valley of Sorek. It marked the beginning of his downfall and his eventual demise. It didn't take long for the rich and powerful Philistine rulers to learn of the affair that he was having. And immediately they wanted to pay a visit to Delilah. See, Samson was a judge. He was a judge over Israel at that time, and he began taking out great vengeance on the Philistines. Yeah, he was a judge over them for 20 years. He served as judge over Israel. And in hoping to capture him, the Philistine leaders each offered Delilah $1,100 or 1,100 shekels of silver. Each of them offered that to her. They offered it to her to collaborate, to start a scandal, if you will, with them, a scheme to uncover the secret of Samson's great strength. And I want to submit tonight to you, my friends, that many of you have found yourselves in a Samson situation. You found at one time in your life, or maybe now, yourself laying your head in the lap of somebody, of somebody that you know deep down inside they didn't mean you any good. Deep inside they wasn't good for you. You found yourself laying your head in the laps of some people who ruined your reputation. Some laps of some folks that when you came to yourself and realized what it was that you had done, you had to ask yourself later, what in the world was I thinking? You had to ask your friends, just how much did I have to drink last night? Your friends even asked you, friend, what brand of crack were you smoking last night? There are some of you here tonight, some of you who are watching us by way of YouTube and Facebook, who have found yourselves with your heads in the laps of certain situations and certain circumstances that were really your own fault. Yeah, you tried to play the blame game, but the real issue was you. The issue was you. It's you. Yeah, tonight, just like Samson, there are those who were born with a call on your life. See, early in the book of Judges, around the 13th through the 15th chapters, let me give you just a little history. You see where Samson was prophesied about. Samson's parents had been childless for several years, and an angel of God appeared to Samson's mother, and he prophesied that she would have a son, and she did. God has called you to teach, and you're running. He has called you to be encouragement to people, but you're running. He called you from birth. He prophesied to your parents. He sent a word through your grandparents that you would do great and mighty things, that you'd be a trendsetter, but you're too busy with your Delilah. Delilah, say Delilah. You're too busy clubbing more than you are working. You're too busy keeping busy that you aren't doing anything healthy for your future. You're too busy with Delilah. And the kicker is Delilah could give a sense about you. She's concerned about the silver. Using her powers, she used her powers of seduction and deception. Delilah persistently. She was persistent, just like a lot of people that we know. We ain't got no business hanging around. They don't have nothing to do with our future. We keep hanging around them, and they persistently try to wear us down. I don't know why you keep going over to that church. Ain't gonna be nobody there anyway. Ain't gonna try to get all your money, and God ain't really there. I don't know why. Those kind of people are using their powers of seduction and deception. She persistently wore down Samson with her repeated requests until he finally divulged the crucial information. And some of us have given up some crucial information to some people, and they used it against us. Yeah, she used it. Having taken the Nazarite vow at birth, Samson had been set apart to God. He had been set apart unto God. As a part of that vow, his hair was never to be cut. But I want to submit tonight that many of us have taken a vow to do certain things. We've made promises unto God, but it becomes difficult to keep your vow and promises to God when you're too busy dancing with Delilah. Got your head in her lap. Ask somebody, whose lap are you laying in? It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to keep your vow when you tiptoeing through the tulips as if there's nothing going on. Partying here and there, and every time you look around, you at a party. It's hard to keep your vow and your promise when you're busy giving everything else and yourself to everyone. Everyone else has your attention. Yeah, your Delilah, your Delilah. You know what your Delilah is. Some folks, Delilah is drinking way too much. Now, I didn't say drinking is a sin in general because it's not. It's the overindulgence of it. The sin is when the drinking becomes your stronghold. Your Delilah. Your Delilah might be too much TV. All you do is watch TV. You never ever go to the church. You never open your Bible. You never listen to any gospel music. You know every single housewife of Atlanta, but you don't know the Lord. You know every single reality show, but you can't pray. My Lord. And that's why you can't cast out your Delilah. Your Delilah might be sex. I might step on a few toes out there in video land, YouTube land, but it's okay. I meant for your heart. But every time you turn around, it's a new boo. Every time you turn around, you got a new piece. Yeah, Delilah. It's Delilah, a new one whose lap you're laid up in. And see, the real issue with Samson was he turned away from God. And then when it came time for him to go out and do what he's supposed to do, when it came time for him to come and lead praise and worship, when it came time for him to get up and preach, when it came time for him to get up and pray, when it came time for him to get up and go out and do outreach, the Lord had departed from him. Come on now. Delilah. Yeah, the first woman, see, that he had been with, there was another one he had been with, another harlot, as the Bible calls her, before Delilah. He was distracted by his lust. And people of God, it's like a slap in the face to God when you decide, well, instead of laying at the feet of God and worshiping him, I'm going to go to the bar and have a good time. I'm going to go and do this and that. I'm going to go and lay my head in the lap of my Delilah. Yeah, it's a slap in his face when we ignore him, the one who has made a way for us time after time. We say, I'm going to go do this, and we ignore the fact that God, you have called me out of darkness into your marvelous light. You've made a way for me when there was no way. You opened doors that should have never been opened. You keep my mind when I should be cracked up and cracked out somewhere on Peachtree and Pine. You kept me from dying from what has taken other folks out. You kept me from committing suicide from the pressures of life when other folks have blown their brains out. But instead of giving God the praise, you go see your Delilah. Help us. Instead of taking my life and doing something useful with it and glorify you, I waste it on frivolous things. 1 minute hookups, 2 minute hookups, whatever, hookups. Instead of telling folks about you, Father, I'd rather gossip and talk about the latest mess and the latest garbage. Delilah. Somebody say Delilah. And in laying my head in all these Delilah situations, I'm just like Samson, and I end up giving up the secret to my strength. While laying my head in Delilah's lap, like Samson, I lose who I am. While laying my head in the lap of Delilah, I forget my vow, and I forget my promise, I forget my call, and I came to declare on tonight that you've laid in the lap of Delilah way too long, and it's time for you to get free tonight. I came tonight as God's message boy to tell you to get up. Somebody shout, get up. I wish you would tell somebody, get up. See, when Samson told Delilah that his strength was in his hair, that it would leave him if a razor came to his head, she cunningly crafted her plan with the Philistine rulers while Samson slept on her lap. Delilah called them in. She called in her co-conspirators to shave his head. And then Samson was captured. And I want to submit tonight that some of you that are watching on YouTube and Facebook, that your Delilah in your life is that they have tricked you into giving up the source of your strength. You have given up on God. They tricked you into staying home or going to the park on a beautiful Sunday evening or doing something else other than coming to the house of God. I want you to know tonight, this is where you get rejuvenated. But you let some old Delilah trick you, telling you, you know, it don't take all that, child. Just watch you. Some Joel Osteen. They tricked you. They tricked you. You'll be all right if you just watch a little bit of this. You let Delilah trick you into thinking that Oprah and Ayanla and Dr. Phil had all the answers. Yeah, tricks are for kids. Those people are fine and dandy and they have some pretty okay advice. But the truth of the matter is, when the rubber meets the road, when you're in a fix and they're nowhere to be found, you're going to need just a little more Jesus. Yeah, people come and people will go. But God, you have always been there for me. Tell somebody, you got to get rid of Delilah tonight. Yeah, you might have a Delilah that holds your head down in her lap. Holds your head down and just strokes you and tries to get all of your strength out of you. But I heard the Bible say, lift up your heads, all ye gates, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is the King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. He is the King of glory. But you keep laying there with your head in Delilah's lap. Somebody shout, get up. Yeah, get your blessed assurance up tonight. See, Samson kept laying down. He just couldn't get enough. 3 times before they found out what his secret was, he just kept laying there. He kept laying with her. And some folks I know keep laying down. They keep laying their head in those Delilah situations. They just keep laying there and listening to it, and keep taking chances and chances and chances, sleeping with this one, sleeping with that one, going out to this place, putting this up your nose, putting this in your vein, trying that Molly, keep on trying that powder, and keep on trying this pill, and keep on trying that, and keep sleeping with Tim and Jay and Raheem and David and Kevin, and they keep on laying their head in the lap of Delilah with Sheila and Tammy and Kim, and then they end up just like Samson, defeated. They end up crazy and depressed. All the time they end up crazy and depressed. All the time I'm depressed. Oh, I just don't know. I just don't know what I'm gonna do. Oh, woe is me. Nobody knows the trouble I see. Oh, it's always me. They end up an addict, trying to figure out, how did I get here? Samson kept on and kept on and kept on, and he finally told her his secret. And some folks keep on and keep on talking about, but I love him. I love her. She loves me. Or he loves me, until all your strength is gone. But the Bible says that rather than killing him, the Philistines preferred to humiliate him. They humiliated him by gouging out his eyes, and they subjected him to hard labor. He had to go to prison and work hard in the prison. This is what ends up happening to many of us, and has happened to many of us at some time in our life. We stayed in Delilah's lap too long. With our heads in her lap and her playing in our hair. We played just a little too long. Just a little too long with things we had no business playing with. We was in and out, from one person to the next, from one drug to the next, from one relationship to the next. And in the long run, we ended up humiliated by our own mess. People end up laughing and talking about you, just like they did Samson, talking about you because of your Delilah experience. But God has a way wherein he uses our mess even to his glory. See, See, as Samson slaved at the grinding brain, his hair began to grow. But the careless Philistines paid no attention. They see the enemy has weapons of humiliation set up for us, just like they had this weapon of humiliation set up for Samson. He thought that it would kill him, but I hear the word of the Lord saying, no weapon tonight formed against you shall prosper. I'm ready, guys. No weapon that's formed against you shall prosper tonight. What you have to understand tonight is weapons might form, but it won't work tonight. What you have to understand tonight, see, the weapon was nothing but a distraction unto the enemy tonight. Yes, the weapon might form, but it won't work. Tell somebody, it's a distraction. It's a distraction. Yes, see, because while the enemy is distracted, trying to destroy you, God is growing your hair back. Yeah, I ain't got no hair physically, but God is trying to grow your hair back. While the enemy is trying to use your past, God is growing your hair back. I hear the Lord saying to somebody tonight, I'm growing your hair back. Yeah, God is strengthening you. Yeah, while the enemy is laughing and talking about you, God is growing your hair back. Somebody say, I'm getting my hair back. Yeah, he's building you back up. I came to encourage you tonight that you might have had your head in Delilah's lap, but God is going to give you your strength back. All you got to do is get up. Somebody say, get up. As they used to say in the old church, grab hold to the horns of the altar and watch God make a way. Watch God change your life. Watch God bring you up. Come on and give him the praise tonight. Yeah, some of you have been worrying about what your past looked like and what your past has said about you and what people are talking about even now as you've gone higher in the Lord. I want to speak to those that are getting ready to be elevated. Don't you dare worry about what people thought about you. Don't you dare worry about what you did in your past. Don't you dare worry about what people know about you. Everybody's got a past. Good, bad, and ugly. Everybody's got a past. But the Bible says, in spite of his horrible failures and his great sins, Samson's heart now turned to the Lord. He was humbled. And see, sometimes God's got to humble us, even through our mess. Even while we had our head in Delilah's lap, he had to humble us. And the Lord had to humble Samson. Yeah, and so during the sacrifice of the pagans, the Philistines had gathered in Gaza. Yeah, they gathered to celebrate, as it was their custom. They paraded their prized enemy, Samson, all through the crowd. They paraded him up and down. See, look at Samson. Yeah, like some folk like to do with us. Look what they did. I remember when they was in prison. I remember when they was in jail. I remember when they was cracked up. I remember when they was an alcoholic. I remember when they was a hoe. But God's got a way of turning your test into a testimony. Hallelujah. And so during this festival that the Philistines was having, they paraded Samson up and down, but they hadn't noticed that he was getting his strength back. They hadn't noticed that his hair was growing back. They hadn't noticed that he was praying unto God. I want you to know tonight, there are going to be some times that your friends are going to laugh and talk about you. Your enemies are going to laugh and talk about you. But you got to pray and seek God's face for your life tonight. I want you to know tonight, some things come through prayer and fasting. You can't worry about what the naysayers say. You got to pray and seek God's face. So while they were parading him and having a good time, the Bible says it was about 3,000 plus in this place. They were sitting all up on the roof. If you can imagine 3,000 people sitting on the roof of this place, and folks all in the balcony, and folks all in the hallway, and folks all out in the middle of Ralph McGill. They wanted to see this Samson as he was being paraded up and down. Yeah, that's the one, that's the one. He killed all those Philistines, but we got him. We done gouged his eyes. But the Lord heard his cry from heaven. I hear the word saying that if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves. See, Samson had to be humbled. If you would just humble yourself and stop being so puffed up and proud and saying, look at what I did. You ain't done nothing but had your head in the lap of Delilah. But if you would humble yourselves, seek his face and pray, turn from your wicked ways. You got to tell Delilah bye-bye. You got to tell Delilah bye-bye. I don't know about you tonight, but I made up in my mind. I'm telling Delilah bye-bye. Juanita Bynum said no more sheets, but I came tonight to say no more Delilah. Bye-bye Delilah. Somebody say bye-bye Delilah. No more inconsistencies. Bye-bye Delilah. No more holding around. Bye-bye Delilah. No more drug addictions. Bye-bye Delilah. No more alcohol addictions. Bye-bye Delilah. No more pity parties. Bye-bye Delilah. No more junk in my life. Bye-bye Delilah. No more pity parties. Bye-bye Delilah. Bye-bye. Somebody say bye-bye Delilah. Way bye-bye. Clap those hands and give God the praise. I don't know about you tonight, but I made up in my mind that for God I'll live and for God I'll die. Now I don't know about you, but I got that down in my spirit. Earlier today, I made up in my mind